Hey everybody, welcome to day 93 of Davos. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We are in the home stretch and coming to you from across the street, actually, from the Congress Center, where 3,000 people have been gathered here all week, 60 heads of state, 2 friends of Global Stage, Anne-Marie Hu, who's the Executive Director of UN Office for Partnerships, and Teresa Hutson, Corporate Vice President at Microsoft. Thanks to both of you for being here.
Great to be with you, Tony.
This has been such a week, right? And I mean, it's from the inauguration and so much focus being on what's happening in the United States and here as well. People are talking about that, but a lot of other issues. Let's just start on what our big takeaways have been, if there's a theme that sort of summarizes WEF 25. Teresa?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's anxiety and uncertainty about what the changing geopolitical landscape means at the same time as you have this enormous technological innovation in AI. And some people are optimistic and some people are scared. But I think the most important thing for me is really to turn the anxiety into action. And that's the best way to cure the anxiety. It's like, okay, well, if we're worried about something, let's do something about it. And I felt like more of the conversations this week were really focused on, okay, what are we going to do next together to address things like making sure technology works for everybody and that we're meeting the needs of the globe.
Anne-Marie?
I'm going to pick up on what Teresa just said on action. One of our SDG longtime advocates, Richard Curtis, he has this great saying that to make things happen, make things. And so when, it's such a great starting point. So, whether it's anxiety or not sure where, make things. And it's really great to see for me this week that the commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals continues to be so strong. I see the business sector really leaning into what it's going to take to not only do things that are good for the bottom line, but also for the global bottom line of those incredible use cases that we've been hearing about all week that are really geared toward whether it be climate related or health related. The breakthroughs are really exciting. And so for me, I'm coming away excited. There might be a bit of an anxiety just because you feel that a little bit.
Yeah, and because we're in a moment of transition, right? That's where it feels like there's a little anxiety. What happens next?
And if you think last year, so many of the world went to the elections. And this year we kind of know all those outcomes. And now we know.
Now let's get started.
Let's get going.
Yeah, so for me, I've had an opportunity to hear a few of the world leaders speak inside the Congress Center, and Ukraine's President Zelensky had a line that really stuck with me. He said, right now, all eyes are on Washington, but no one's watching Europe. And I thought, you could actually say, right now, no one's watching the world. And that's kind of the whole premise of GZERO, right? The name of our media company, that we're in this place where no country or group of countries is really effectively confronting these geopolitical tensions and crises that are emerging. But to both of your points about a little bit of optimism or hope, you hear from Ursula von der Leyen, from Olaf Scholz, particularly European leaders who've spoken here are saying this is a wake-up call, right? And there are going to start to be some green shoots, I think, particularly in innovation, certainly in defense, that might end up being a bit of a silver lining to this moment. But that said, as the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, reminded us yesterday, right now we're in a rudderless world. And I want to ask you, I mean, you said you have some optimism about the Sustainable Development Goals, but private sector aside, there are many, many challenges in the public sphere in the next 5 years, right?
Absolutely. And I will say the Secretary General also began his 2025 priority speech with hope. And that says a lot, that there is hope. And I've heard that over and over this week because of innovation, because of being able to see progress at different levels, global and local. I think that gives people hope and it gives people a bit of that push and the momentum that we need. You were mentioning that this is a year of big anniversaries. The UN is going to turn 80. It's also the 10-year anniversary of the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement. And that means there's 5 years to go. That should light a fire under all of us to say it's up to all of us right now in the moment to continue to push as far as we can and get us the world as far as we can by 2030. And again, those technological advances, corporate cooperation we're seeing, that people coming together in different kinds of ways, that gives me a lot of hope.
So let me pick up on this notion of technology. We heard also from the SG about the power of AI, but the potential peril if misused. How do you see it as a tool for advancing the goals?
Yeah, I mean, what I love about what you said is how grounded it is in optimism. And I think really if there's a core trait that it takes to come to Davos every year and to do this work, it is optimism. The technology does give me optimism. We can solve problems that have so far felt unsolvable. We can reach places that have not been reached, and we have to do it really thoughtfully, right? We have to have action-oriented optimism. Like we can't just sort of hope that it'll happen. But I do think we will be able to, solve problems again that have seemed unsolvable. And I think we have to be sort of tempered in saving for humans the parts that really should be done by people, right? So really making sure that we don't over rely on technology to solve problems, but that we're really invested in it and that we're building technology really responsibly so that it's not going to make anything that's already existing worse or create new problems that are unanticipated. But I love that you said, we still have 5 years. I keep hearing, we only have 5 years. I really love that because I think that is actually the right way to approach these problems.
And can I just build on that? It's making sure that the innovation gets into the hands of the people who are going to be able to do the most with it.
Exactly.
And I love seeing all the use cases, and there's so many things, and making a use case library, people having accessibility to innovation at the same time, and be able to use it to leapfrog in whatever field that they're interested in. And that's what's kind of exciting. There is probably some kind of innovation going on for almost every field right now.
Yeah.
So I love the optimism of the conversation, but also the pragmatism, Teresa. What you said, it really resonated with me about the fact that there's so much fear and anxiety. We're seeing that play out, not only from the speakers here, but around the world right now. And so being able to do something about it, or at least taking those first steps, makes us feel a little better. Let's end on something fun, right? Because look, this is not all doom and gloom. Davos does have its moments that are kind of fun. I'll start on mine. Dion von Furstenberg, DVF, it's Dion, by the way, don't forget it.
Thank you.
Won the Crystal Award, one of the Crystal Award recipients this year at Davos, and I got to interview her, and I said, growing up, what were your inspirations? And she said, I just always wanted to be a woman in charge.
Wow,
And I thought,
love that.
hey, in the backdrop of this event, last year only 28% of the participants were women. Good for you, Dion von Furstenberg, right? How about you?
Dion is amazing, and she's also one of our SDG advocates. And I think this notion that she's all about right now using kindness as currency, and I thought that was really amazing. And maybe it's a fashion tip that I got that is the most fun. There's a lot of dinners, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of remarks at dinners, and the advice I got in these very dark rooms is to wear something light colored. So I have a white jacket that allows me to stand out with
Straight from
so
the
people can
icon's
kind of
mouth.
see
Yeah.
me.
For me, it's just some of the weird experiences. Like here we are sitting in the snow filming this. We had to stop a little earlier because there was a helicopter overhead. But there's just like this sort of interesting summer camp feeling when you're at Davos, right? You run into people that you never see anywhere but Davos, and then they feel like lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And so that's actually the thing that I really love about Davos is you're like not expecting to see somebody and you're like, I've now seen you 5 times on the promenade, and I haven't run into you at all, and we live in the same city.
Those are called Davos moments.
Exactly.
Yesterday, I was moderating a lunch, and Larry Summers, the former U.S. Treasury Secretary, crashed it. I looked out in the crowd, and I'm like, oh, hi, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Anyway, well, that's it for us, and we will see you later from Davos. Teresa Hutson, thank you so much. Anne Marie, who always a pleasure. See you later.